Below the sill is real fieldstone. Above is carved and painted cement. Meet Helga Feden, rock creator. The former Colgate hockey player learned 24 years ago there's demand for making rocks instead of using the real thing.
My first job after college was at the North Carolina Zoo, and I worked there on the design staff building a gorilla habitat. So we built huge rocks and streams and waterfalls with big boulders, and so I learned there how to make artificial rocks. So from there, people used to call the zoo and ask if there were people that would work on the side, doing some side work, so I could really see a market for this kind of work outside of Disney World and zoos and museums and that kind of thing. It's neat to try to fool the eye. I mean, it's fun to try to fool people. And even at the zoo that I worked at does really realistic rocks. So I mean, they mimic North Carolina rocks. So it's just fun people used to ask, have they been brought in by helicopter? You know, how did you get these rocks here? So that's the fun part, is just trying to fool people.
Helga's challenge carving authentic rocks and habitat is complicated by the weather and climate at the project sites. The concrete doesn't care, she has a job to do.
It's when it's hot, concrete wants to crack. So the material is just very temperamental. And when it's cold, it doesn't want to set up, and if it freezes before it sets up, you have all kinds of problems. So you're really dealing with the weather is tough, and just sometimes hard to get to places. I mean, some of the things here have been done off a lift, which it's not so much challenging, it's just a little bit slow. So it can get a little frustrating, just moving so slowly.
And to her parents' delight, she makes use of her fine arts degree. Helga studies and sketches waterfalls and habitat before beginning her projects.
So I always go to nature first and look at what's out there. So even on this job, I was lucky enough to be in Italy, so I was able to look at some actual stucco walls that have fallen off and exposed brick and stone, and so it's very inspirational first to look at what's real and then take from that and try to imitate it. Yeah, and that's the fun part of it, is that it's so flexible. So whether it's boulders, I mean, in the case of boulders, usually to try to get in boulders the size that I can make is not realistic. So, and you can shape them into any shape that you want. And same thing with this. In this application, we couldn't go the thickness that you would go with a real stone, so we had to be much thinner. So we're giving it the effect that it is a solid stone under there, but without the thickness of a real stone.
Is there a certain combination you use, or are you just eyeballing it?
I'm copying the real rock, so I usually pick a rock somewhere, and then I kind of use those color combinations.
So you're at one with the rocks.
I'm one with the rocks.
Helga Rocks.